instead of doing a top 14 books of 2014, I'm going to do the 2014 book tag, which was created by Anna the Word Nerd, and I was also tagged by her, so I'll leave the link in the description. It's a really good tag, and I think it gives you a kind of more well-rounded version of the kinds of books that I read in 2014 and what I thought of them and all that kind of stuff. So I love watching people's answers. I'm hoping mine is going to be just as interesting, possibly. So without further ado, the first question is, what was your favourite book published in 2014? And I actually only read 3 books published in 2014, which is really bad. Those were Articles of Faith by Michael Cannon, which I gave 3 out of 5 stars. The Art of Captain America the Winter Soldier slipcase, which I gave, I think, 4 out of 5 stars. And How to Be Both by Ali Smith, which I gave 3 out of 5 stars, but out of all 3 of those, I would probably say How to Be Both by Ali Smith was my favourite. It's about 2 different characters who are from 2 completely different time periods and places, but whose stories connect and intertwine in the themes and just the life experiences that they have, and I thought it was really well done. And depending on which version of the book that you pick up depends on which character you read about first, and that kind of gives a variety of different experiences to the readers. The second question is, pick a book that you think had great characterization. So I will show you a few because I couldn't decide on just one. So first I chose The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky. I thought that the character of Charlie was just really great and really interesting to read about. He's such a nice person and you really feel for him the whole way through. I'm also going with The Luminaries by Eleanor Catton, and this one I've chosen because the characters were just so beautifully described. I felt like I knew them internally rather than knowing what they were like on the outside, which she did just as well. I also chose A Feast for Crows by George R.R. Martin, and obviously because this is the 4th book in the series, I don't want to say too much and give things away, but I think he always does a really good job of showing how the characters change and develop over time. And there's a particular character in this book that I really enjoyed being in the head of, and we haven't been in the head before. In the same sort of vein, I really enjoyed The Beach by Alex Garland because this shows how the main character is changed from the beginning of the book to the end of the book. I thought it was just a really interesting journey into a character's mind. The third question is, speaking of, who was your favourite character from the books that you read in 2014? My favourite characters from 2014 were from the Hawkeye series by Matt Fraction, and those characters were Clint Barton and Kate Bishop because they are just amazing. I love the dynamic between the 2 of them, and I love learning about Clint's more darker side as well as his just normal guy living in New York side. And I love Kate Bishop, she's just amazing. I can't wait to learn more about her as well. The fourth question is, who is your least favourite character of 2014? So this is an unpopular opinion, but I really didn't like Kath from Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell or Rowell. I really thought I would connect to her because she's a fangirl and she writes fan fiction, which I've dabbled in the past. And yeah, I just didn't feel any connection to her. I thought she was really immature. I thought she didn't develop at all by the end of it, and she did something at the end that I thought was really weird and childish. I just didn't connect to her. I hope we can still be friends. The fifth question is, pick a book that you read in 2014 with a shocking plot twist. So I could have gone with any of the Song of Ice and Fire series books, but I thought I would do something different. So I picked Before I Go to Sleep by S.J. Watson, and this book I gave 4 out of 5 stars to. I don't remember exactly, but I'm pretty sure that I didn't guess this before the end of it. and I remember being quite shocked and it kept me on the edge of my seat, so I've gone for this one. The sixth question is, name a great author or multiple authors that you discovered this year. Well, 2014. Emily Norton, William Boyd, Eleanor Catton, Cormac McCarthy, Muriel Spark, Matt Fraction and Chuck Palahniuk. The seventh question is, what book was really hyped up in 2014 that you think really met the hype? Sorry to repeat a book, but I'm gonna go with the Hawkeye series by Matt Fraction, just because I'm really enjoying it, and I never ever thought that I would enjoy a superhero comic before now, but here it is. The eighth question is, did you see any book to film adaptations in 2014? And what was your favourite? I read Mockingjay and I saw Mockingjay Part 1 this year, and I also saw The Hobbit, The Battle of the Five Armies, but my favourite book to film adaptations were actually books that I haven't read before now. So those were Guardians of the Galaxy, Captain America the Winter Soldier was my absolute favourite film of 2014, hands down, that was my favourite. And also The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, which started off as a short story, I believe. The ninth question is, what book made you cry the most? That would be A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness, which is a lot of people's answers for 2014. I really wasn't expecting it to affect me the way that it did, but there is a part of the book that when I got up to it, I just bawled my eyes out. I think that it would touch most people. I don't think that you would need to be in the same situation as the character to understand that feeling. I think it applies to everyone, and it was beautiful and upsetting and needed. The 10th question is, what was the funniest book that you read this year? This is a weird one, but it was The Character of Rain by Amélie Nothomb, and I just loved the way that she wrote. The writing just had such a charm that was just kind of humorous, and yeah, just the way that she wrote tickled me for some reason. I don't really know how to explain it. I also found The Elements of Eloquence by Mark Forsyth to be really funny in a kind of nerdy, word nerd sort of way. I think Mark Forsyth's humour is just really funny, and it makes his books really accessible if you want to learn more about the English language. The 11th question is, did you set a reading goal for yourself, and if you did you meet it, and how many books did you read? So as you can see, I set my Goodreads challenge to 40 books last year, and I managed to do it. I read 53 books and I'm really proud of that. The 12th question is, were you satisfied with 2014 as a reading year? And the answer is mostly yes, I was, but there were points where I was reading a book just because they were hyped up. The 13th question is, what are you planning to do better as a reader in 2015? And I kind of answered this one in my 2015 reading resolutions video. I want to start reading from more diverse authors. And the 14th question is, what is the best book that you read in 2014? For me, that would be The Character of Rain by Amélie Nothomb. It's a really quirky read, it's very short, and I filled it with tabs. I read it from start to finish in one sitting, and that hardly ever happens for me. It was just such a good reading experience. It made me laugh, it made me cry, it made me think about a lot of things. It's basically about, supposedly, the first 3 years of Amélie Nothomb's life, and her family had moved to Japan, where they believe that when a child is between the ages of 0 and 3, they are a god. So it's kind of from the point of view of a very egotistical toddler. I just love it. I just think it has so much charm to it. So that concludes the tag. I hope you've enjoyed it. I'm going to tag anyone who hasn't done a top books of 2014 video yet. Like, comment, subscribe if you want to, and I'll see you next time. Bye!